Hello. I've decided to split this one into two videos, but it shares the same notes. Once again, the link to the notes will be in the description of the video, and if you make it to where the notes are, there'll be a link to the video. I want you to remind you again that the best way of finding out about these video uploads is to subscribe to the channel on YouTube. Small Anglo-Saxon words can change your perception. First of all, I want to talk about the mind and the Bible revisions, and then in the second part we'll actually look at a couple of small Anglo-Saxon words. When it comes to English Bibles, small changes in Anglo-Saxon words have the power to change your perception. Now, Anglo-Saxon words are the short ones, one or two syllables, to change the way in your perception and your understanding of the Word of God. Now, perceptions are very, very important. Your perceptions govern the way that you respond in an automatic way to things. Your perception's what drives you, instinctively, as it were. However, it's not as though you're born with them. They build over time. And what happens is that the mind organizes itself into classes and situations, and decisions and attitudes and opinions, and it's very good at doing it all by itself, knowing what human beings are like. If it doesn't get done, it won't get done. But not with the mind. The mind does it itself. It's not like a bedroom. If you don't clean up a bedroom, it stays messy. The mind will sort things, and it does it according to history, according to what's gone before, if you like. So it's very important sometimes that you supervise the sorting, otherwise you end up with incorrect perceptions. See what I mean? So subconsciously you're taking in information, your mind is sorting it all out, and it's building a perception for the next time round when anything happens like it. That's why you can recognize an egg, for instance, or a boiled egg half open very quickly, not like a poor old computer. Alright, your perceptions are changed, you see, and the problem is that they're changed without you realizing it. So therefore words become very important. Now, I want to show you an example by comparing a couple of Bible verses together in the English language. Now, in the English language, there are actually two Bibles. There's the one that is the Word of God, and then there's all those others that contain the Word of God to varying degrees. But we're going to look at the one that is the Word of God, and the first edition that was published, where it was openly decided that the Bible was not going to be the final authority, but it was only going to contain the Word of God. And this was done quite deliberately. So, what are these Bibles? Well, we're going to be looking at the King James Bible, which is the Word of God, and the Revised English Bible, that contains the Word of God, and deliberately is made so it does contain the Word of God, rather than being the Word of God. You've got to be careful with the name Revised. It makes it look as though, when you revise something, you're supposed to make it better, not worse. But we'll be looking at the first major English revision of the King James Bible, and it starts to deliberately change. It's a trend to hide the real Word of God from us and the English-speaking people, and also to put the interpretation back into the professor's domain, the academic domain. The original translators of the Bible tried to get the Bible out of the professor's domain into the ploughboy and the milkmaid domain. But in the 1800s, the decision was to reverse this trend because it produces too many inconvenient truths. Alright, here's a brief summary of a revised version. The revised version, or the English revised version of the Bible, of the late 19th century British revision of the King James Bible of 1611. The work began in 1879, the New Testament was published in 1881, the Old Testament in 1885. It is the only officially authorized, recognized version of the King James Bible, King James Version. There were 50 scholars, and I put that in inverted brackets because, well, scholars of what? From various denominations on this team, and there were some American scholars who participated by correspondence. The history of the American one is very interesting, because remember, America was trying to re-establish a language in itself separate from England at that time. That's why Noah's Webster's English dictionary, it's American, it isn't actually English. And that's where all those changes in words come in, you know, spelling, etc. The revisers were charged with introducing alterations only if they were required in order to be faithful to the original text. Well, you know what they say about the road to hell is paved with good intentions. Might have been a good intention, but it was a disaster, because they didn't stick to it, not one little bit. I mean, in the New Testament alone, there's more than 30,000 changes made. 30,000. And over 5,000 of them are based on this so-called better Greek text. And I can assure you that they didn't stay faithful to the charge that they were given. Now, there's two men who are well known in this group, Brooke Frost Westcott and Fenton John Anthony Hort. They were the best known of the translating committee members. They were laughingly called divines. I mean, they didn't really even believe in the resurrection, if you please. They came from good Anglican ministerial stock. Their parents were in ministry, or their fathers were, but they were terrible. They also were sort of contemporaries with another person I really don't have any respect for as a scholar, yes, but that's another story. Hort and Westcott believed that they had the right. Apart from anything else, whatever their academic qualifications were, their characters were terrible. They did things which are strictly forbidden in the scriptures. They were closet Mary worshippers for a start. They believed in necromancy, you know, speaking to the dead and trying it on, and the supernatural and the paranormal. And if it was anything like that at all, they were up to their necks in it. I wouldn't trust them to translate than I would a pagan Greek person to give me a true rendition of a word. They were opposed in this period by a man called John William Burgon, and he did not believe that the new work, when it came out, was the Word of God at all, and he withstood it. He withstood it with everything that he had. He was a scholar, and he withstood their efforts. But Hort and Westcott introduced reference documents that were never considered to be part of the original text at any time in the previous church history. That means from the early church to the 1800s, the true church, and I'm talking about the true church here, I'm not talking about Rome. Rome has always tried to introduce upsetting text. They've got a different agenda. They're not the real church, you know. The Protestant, born-again, preaching, Bible-believing, that style of church, they have never accepted these documents before. And Hort and Westcott introduced them. Actually, they sort of sneak them in. Yes, they did. Most of the changes are a result of using these corrupt manuscripts. They were corrupt at the start when they were in their original state, They were altered and changed. They come from Egypt, you know. Yes, all right. And one of them was kept in the Vatican secret archives. Another one was found, turned up. But anyway, they're used. They're used in all the modern versions, really. But they're not godly, anything but godly. And those men were anything but godly. So Burgeon strongly opposes it. This English revision forcibly argued that the result was not the Word of God. This revised version opens a way for publishers to first of all become extremely protective of their copyright entitlements. There was this huge fight between England and America about the copyright entitlements. Don't you love it that the King James Bible is a gift to the people, the Word of God? It's another story anyway. But since then, copyright entitlements have been very important. So I'm going to finish this here. It's 11 minutes in. I'm going to finish it. And I want you to keep rejoicing. I would like you to subscribe to this channel so you know when new ones come up. And I'll get straight on to looking at the two parallel verses out of the Revised Version and the King James Version, so you can see exactly what I'm speaking about. In the meantime, keep rejoicing, keep glorifying God, and praise His mighty wonderful name, because if your name's written in the Lamb's Book of Life, you're going to spend eternity in heaven. Praise His name. It's a good thing to be cheerful about, isn't it? God bless you. Bye-bye.